Okay, so we're going to do some gradient text effects in this little lesson here. First thing I'm going to do is get some of that stuff out of the way, and I'm going to go to File, New. And I like to just use my photo formats because we've got a simple 8 by 12, which is like copy paper size. And I'm going to do a white background. Now, these templates are showing me that my orientation is vertical. I'm doing some words. This vertical could work for you, but I'm just going to swap my dimensions so that I have a horizontal, and then I'm going to create. And so I'm actually going to do a mix of some chaotic words, and I'll just pick something very simple to start with and do the words one by one. So I'm going to use my type tool. I'm going to really make my type big. In fact, I want it to be like 600 pixels. That's really going to fill this box pretty well. And I'm going to look at my fonts and maybe pick something. Creepster. That's interesting. All right. So here we go. Type tool. Trash these layers because I made a mistake, and hopefully it's loading. All right. So you can do a phrase, a word. I chose that Creepster font, so it's going along with this theme of the witches. And I'm going to center it. And then what I'm going to do is go to my shape tool. So I'm going to take my rectangle shape and I'm going to do a gradient fill. There's a lot of options with the gradient fill. If you drop down this menu, you can really choose from a number of presets. I'm just going to go with the rainbow, and then we could also work on shapes from there. Diamond, reflected angle, radial, etc. And as I draw this shape out, I'm just going to fill over the space. That's going to create a shape layer above my type layer. And then I'm going to right click on my shape layer, and I've got this option that says clipping mask. And there we go. I filled the words with that gradient. Now I can double click some more on this gradient and I get other options. Certainly you could use layer styles, but I'm actually going to go back to my fill. I'm in the shape layer. I'm going to double click or click once on my fill, and I should be able to click on the gradient again. And then with the gradient editor, really playing around with these colors and what's happening inside. So I can customize this gradient a little bit more. And I don't necessarily like the shape of this gradient. I can always go back and edit. I'm going to close this out, close that out, change it from the diamond to linear just to make it nice and simple. And now I can go back and really work on my colors if I want to, excluding some or working on the distance in between the way the gradient is shifting here. So you have a lot of ways to customize this gradient. And then I'm going to go to File. And if I want to retain all those layers in there, then I'm going to save it as a PSD file. I always like to name my files the words that are in there so I know exactly what file I'm dealing with. I've already got some destructive text logos that I was working on in here. So I have a very specific folder for those. So I'm going to save it, and I've got a downloaded version. And that's how you work with gradient fill inside your text. Have fun.